going on, guys? Cthulhu here, and today I'm just gonna be talking about some upcoming fights that are coming up for the UFC, and well, just talking about them. And that's pretty much it. Let's get on with it. Okay, so the way I'm gonna be doing this is I'm gonna go from the oldest announcements to the most recent announcements as of Friday, April 25th. So for this one, this is gonna be Vicente Luque versus Kevin Holland, which is happening on 3/16, I believe. And Vicente Luque is coming off a win over Themba Gorimbo, that guy who, well, got donated a house by The Rock by a first round sub. And Kevin Holland, who got a UD win over Gunnar Nelson. Honestly, this matchmaking kind of doesn't make sense. I mean, I guess they are both coming off a one-fight win streak. I mean, I don't know if Gunnar Nelson is really, worthy of fighting for position rankings for Kevin Holland, but honestly, I don't. It kind of feels like a little bit of wishy-washy matchmaking, but I'm gonna have to pick a winner. Let's see, Kevin Holland or Vicente Luque. I'd say, let's go. I guess I'll go with Holland. Let's go with the wild pick. Let's go with Kevin Holland, because he does have the ground game. He's got pretty good grappling, pretty good jiu-jitsu, as we saw in that Gunnar Nelson fight where he went for the Kimura, and well, I mean, he didn't finish it, but I mean, it was pretty cool. And Vicente Luque, he's got a killer choke with that Darce. But I mean, honestly, I could see Holland start off with striking, and well, I guess maybe he could go for grappling. Who the fuck knows? I haven't seen a lot of Vicente Luque, if I'm being honest, but I have seen kind of Holland, and he does like to strike, and he will grapple if he has to, I guess. But I don't know. This is pretty random matchmaking. I'm just trying to come up with something interesting to say. So those are my thoughts for this matchup, I guess. Alright, so for this next matchup, we got Tagir Ulanbekov versus Kyoji Horiguchi. Now for Tagir, he's coming off a 3-fight win streak, with the first 2 being by submission, and his most recent win coming after a 2-year layoff with a unanimous decision win over Layden Carpenter. And for his opponent, Kyoji Horiguchi, his name might sound familiar because Kyoji actually fought for the UFC title a while back against the divisional GOAT, Demetrius Johnson. And that fight is also pretty well known because he literally tapped at the last second, which is, it's honestly pretty impressive, I won't lie. I'm not trying to dog on him, but like, it is actually kind of cool. I don't know, it's just a really random stat. Anyways, after that, he goes on like a 4-fight win streak, I believe, 4 fights. And then either his contract ends, or I guess he may have been kicked out, I don't know. But he goes over to Ryzen, and then he fights over there. And then for his next fights, up until now, he only loses to three guys: Patchy Mix, Sergio Pettis, and Kyle Sakura. Yes, Kyle Sakura, who recently fought against Pantoja and lost in the second round. Yeah. So but those are his only 3 losses. So who knows? Could Kyoji come in and perhaps make a statement? Honestly, maybe. We've seen guys come over. Yuri Prohaska, for example, fought in Ryzen, and he came over and he won the title. So I guess we'll see what it's like with Kyoji versus Sakir. We'll see how Kyoji does. I'm gonna have to pick a guy. I would go to Tagir Ulanbekov because Dagestani. But this is honestly, this could be a tough one. It's getting, if I was to, let's go wild, I guess. Let's go Kyoji Horiguchi. I don't know, maybe, let's get a little stupid, I guess. So for the next matchup, we have Mateusz Gamrot versus Ludovit Klein. Now Gamrot, he's 7-3 in the UFC, and the only 3 people he's lost to is Guram Kutaladze, Benil Dariush, and recently Dan Hooker, which, I guess you could argue maybe could be a robbery, but it's kind of depending on how you look at the stats and how you look at how effective his control time was. Because looking at the striking stats, they're virtually identical, and his 4 minutes of control time, from what I remember, could argue that could have given him the win. But stats really don't mean much in some cases, I guess. But hey, that's UFC judging criteria for you. And some of his wins for Mateusz, he does have a win over Aras Sarukian, the #1 contender. But some argue that as a robbery, so who knows? and he is 3-1 in his last 4. But I mean, you know, like I said, the loss against Dan Hooker could be argued as well robbery. So I mean, who knows? You know, there's a lot of things you could say from there. Now, for the next fighter, it's Ludwig Klein. He's currently undefeated in the UFC. He's on a 4-fight win streak, I believe. Yeah, I believe a 4-fight win streak. And he does have a win over a fighter that I'll be talking about later, Ignacio Bahamondes. But like I said, I'll get to that later. And actually, well, he is. Oh wait, no, Ludwig Klein is not. Messed up the stats. I believe. Hold on. He is 7-2-1 in the UFC. I apologize. Got that wrong. He does have a win over Ignacio Bahamondes, which is someone who I believe I'll be talking about later, from what I've seen. Alright, so after that completely unnecessary intermission, so Ludwig Klein, he's on a 6-fight winning streak if you don't count the draw against Jack Herbert. So I mean, if I'm gonna pick someone to win, honestly, Gamrot is probably maybe in like gatekeeper status, maybe, keyword being maybe, because I mean, who knows? The UFC doesn't want him anywhere near a title shot, even though I feel like maybe he could have deserved a top 5 opponent. But you know, I mean, Ludwig, what could he do? I mean, I'll be honest, I haven't seen this guy fight at all, and you know, short little fact, I've been a UFC fan since the beginning of 2023, so yes, I am, I guess, fucking casual, so you know, not cool. But back to the video. His Gamrot, he's probably gonna implement his grappling game. Ludwig Klein, well, he's won his most recent fights, 5 of them being decisions, 1 being a KO TKO. So I'm gonna guesstimate. I assume he's a striker. So you know, I guess I'll play Gamrot to out-grapple him. Probably win by decision. All right, so now we're getting into the fights that were announced today, April 25th. So for the first one, this is announced earlier in the day. Max Holloway versus Dustin Poirier for the BMF title for the main event in New Orleans at UFC 318. This is gonna be the 3rd fight in the trilogy, with Dustin Poirier being 2-0 against Max Holloway. One of those being a first-round submission. One of those being in their first fight, a first-round submission, and Holloway's debut. And their second fight being a unanimous decision for Dustin Poirier for the lightweight interim title. Now for Holloway is 2-1 in his last 3. 2-1 in his last 3, with his wins being against Korean Zombie for his retirement hot fight, and Justin Gaethje for the BMF title at UFC 300, and his most recent fight being a loss to his literally only KO loss, surprisingly, against Ilia Topuria for the featherweight title. And Dustin Poirier, while he is 1-2 in his last 3, I mean, getting KO'd by Justin Gaethje, I mean, nothing to be ashamed about. And I mean, winning against Benoit de Saint Denis after jumping the Gilly for at least 100 times to say, and then getting a title shot against Islam where he actually looked surprisingly good until the 5th round happened and he got Darce choked, because apparently Islam's pretty good with that, which I guess shouldn't surprise him, because Dagestani's probably worked on arms a lot. I don't know from what, but hey, who knows. But if I was to pick a winner, this is Poirier's retirement fight. He said it, and it's pretty obvious. So I mean, what happens if we already know what happens if Poirier wins, but what happens if Holloway wins? Well, this could propel him to a title shot. But if Poirier wins, I mean, you could argue he. All right, so my audio cut out, so let me continue my thoughts. So for Holloway, if he does get the win, this could get him, if he, I feel like that's not enough. So if he fights one more time after this, he could, get a title shot against whoever the champion is. Because if you know what's happening right now, well, I mean, yeah, it's pretty much unknown if Holloway's about to go against the Poirier for a second time or Islam. But Poirier, if he wins or loses, he's retiring. Holloway, well, he either becomes a gatekeeper or he's able to fight, be a top contender. So I mean, if I'm gonna have to say who would win this, I mean, you could argue Poirier because he has beaten him twice before, but I mean, you know, this is Holloway up a weight class, so who knows? I mean, we saw what he did against Justin Gaethje, but honestly, style MMA math doesn't work, so who knows? I guess I'll pick Dustin Poirier. Why not? All right, so now we get on to the two most recent fights that were announced later on today, and for this one, I'm pretty excited about this one. This is a new main event for UFC Atlanta. The original was going to be Rose Namajunas and Miranda Maverick, but you know, I think Dana wanted to, you know, curse the fans for some reason, and he gave us Kamaru Usman versus Tyler, the Creator. But anyways, so we got Kamaru Usman versus Joaquin Buckley, and now everybody knows what Kamaru Usman was. This guy was on a 15-fight win streak in the UFC. He literally was about to beat Anderson Silva's record, and then he got, well, headshot dead. And fuck, man, I really hate that. The wording, not what happened to Kamaru. Actually, maybe it would have been better if Kamaru was still champ. Anyways, now Kamaru in his most recent fights, he is 0-3, but I mean, in the first fight, the second fight against Leon, you know, where he got KO'd, he was winning that one. He was up on the cards. And the third fight, well, I mean, you know, some stuff happened, and I mean, you know, it was a bit contestable, but, and then after that, he went up on short notice against Khamzat Chimaev, and, you know, honestly, that was the second time Khamzat looked human after what happened, after his fight, after Khamzat fought Gilbert Burns. So, I mean, Kamaru, but here's the thing, that was 2 years ago. It was in 2023, October 2023. This is going to be in 2025, June 2025. Is Kamaru going to be the same? Honestly, who knows? I mean, this guy has been like, you know, I mean, we've seen videos of him training, but I mean, has he been in and out? Has he been consistent? Has his cobblestone knees been, you know, bothering him? There's a lot of questions, and you know, I feel like we'll eventually get the answers to them once the fight does happen, or maybe even in the pre-fight press conferences. But I mean, who knows? And honestly, that's all I got to say about Kamaru, because I mean, there's nothing else I can add that'll be important. That is important. But for his opponent, Joaquin Buckley, now this dude, he started off 5-4 in the UFC. He started off in the middleweight division, and he started off 5-4. So you know, so nowhere near a title shot. And he lost to guys like Kevin Holland, Nasruddin Mavov, Chris Curtis, and you know. And then after that, Joaquin decided to go down to the welterweight division, and he is now riding a 6-fight win streak with 2024 having 4 of those wins. Yeah, this guy was active. And I mean, he beat guys like Vicente Luque, Stephen Thompson in his most recent win, Colby Covington. I mean, you know, he absolutely battered Colby. Now, granted, you could argue Colby is, you know, washed, and maybe even Stephen Thompson, but I mean, I don't know. I think like those guys are just cursed. Well, Stephen is, because, well, there's grapplers. Literally, the welterweight division is now ruled by grapplers, basically. And well, Colby, I mean, I guess you could argue, but I mean, Colby did say he wasn't training seriously, so I mean, hey, take his word for it, not mine. And I mean, well, I mean, we did see that Joaquin could certainly hold his own with his grappling against him. So honestly, you know, Joaquin, you know, he's got the grappling. He's got the grappling. We've seen it in multiple of his fights. He's got the grappling. He can definitely grapple. But we've also seen the striking, and he's got power, and, you know. But Kamaru has that power too. Kamaru has that power. So could this be Colby Covington versus Kamaru Usman 1, where these two decide to just bang it out? I mean, it could be possible, but I mean, we could also see a fight that could be mixed with some grappling, which wouldn't be that bad. You know, that could actually be interesting. Or we could get the worst outcome, which is, well, one of these guys gets out-grappled, and the worst case of it could be Kamaru just out-grappling Joaquin, and, well, Joaquin basically just getting out-grappled, which I don't think nobody wants to see it. But I mean, that's just a hypothesis. I can't, you know, we won't know what's happening until the fight happens. And I mean, while Kamaru may be 0-3, his latest fight showed that he could definitely, even on short notice, he's still a bad dude. I mean, sheesh, he does deserve the name the Nigerian Nightmare for a reason. But I mean, Joaquin is on a 6-fight winning streak, and I mean, it's just, could this be the new guard coming in to finish off the old guard? It could be, but I mean, if I was to pick a guy who would win, I'd say maybe Joaquin. He has the momentum, and if he carries on with that momentum and he beats Kamaru, I mean, well, he's definitely a title contender. So I guess Joaquin will be my pick. That's gonna be my guy. Alright, so now we get into the final fight that has been recently announced, and it is Rafael Fiziev versus Ignacio Bahamondes. Now for Rafael, when he got into UFC, he lost his debut fight against Magomed Mustafayev at KO, and then he went on a 6-fight winning streak. And some notable names that he beat is Mark Dikase, I don't know how you say that, Renato Moicano, Bobby Green, and Rafael dos Anjos. Now after that, he fought Justin Gaethje, and it was a war. He fought him on the Leon Edwards versus Usman 3 card, and it was a pretty bloody battle. And and if you look at the stats and if you saw the fight itself, it was pretty even. So even, in fact, that in the third round, he turned Justin Gaethje he reverted Justin Gaethje into a Division I Panic wrestler.
Oh, you're a wrestler now.
Which is, who does that? Who does that? Now, while he may be 0-3, losing twice to Justin Gaethje, isn't a bad thing. And his loss to Mateusz Gamrot was due to a leg injury, from what I remember. It was some sort of injury. So Rafael, he's not that bad of a dude. He's a pretty good fighter. So now we get to have Rafael's opponent, Ignacio Bahamondes. Now Ignacio, he starts off his UFC debut with the KO win, and then he loses to John McDessie by split decision, which I got nothing to say about. And he goes on a 3-fight winning streak, beating Roosevelt Roberts, and then he loses to someone who I mentioned earlier, Ludwig Klein, by unanimous decision. He then goes on a 3-fight winning streak in which he KOs his first 2 wins, and then he submits Jalen Turner at the Pereira Ankalaev card, and forces Jalen Turner to retire. Just which I won't lie is actually kind of a little depressing now I think about it. So we see he's pretty well rounded. He has 2 submission wins in the UFC, and he has 4 KO wins in the UFC, and he can go the distance. So so he's pretty well rounded. Now, who do I see winning? Honestly, this does depend on how good in shape Rafael is feeling, because this is, let's see, so Rafael fights most recent. Rafael and Ignacio, they actually fought on the same card. Now that I remember, they fought on the exact same card. So this is pretty recent timing for both of these two. And so hypothetically, if they were to take them, they were like, all right, they get notified about this in April. They're like, hey, y'all want to fight each other? They're like, all right, bet. So they start camping early April. Hopefully, this does give them a bit of time. But if they know about this fight when they announced it, which has happened to some fighters before, which is what some fighters have said, then I'd say Rafael may lose, and Ignacio could get the win. So I feel like as of now, I feel like Ignacio does get the win. Alright, so this is completely different from what I usually do. This is the first time y'all are really hearing me speak, and I've been watching a lot of MMA content creators videos, and honestly, they do kind of intrigue me a bit, especially some of the more unhinged ones. And I was like, why not give a crack at it? So who knows, maybe this will be completely normal, or maybe it won't. Honestly, I enjoy doing this, so maybe I'll try and diversify it a bit. I won't just talk about announced fights. Maybe I'll talk about upcoming fights, the cards, maybe my own personal thoughts on the UFC, because I do have a lot to say about it, although I do feel like some of these points have already been said by other content creators. So maybe I'll try and come up with something unique, but that's just all I gotta say. If you actually made it to this far, I'm actually pretty thankful. I won't lie, this video probably won't be the most interesting, but I feel like it's something that I just wanted to just let my brain go loose into. And if you stuck out to the end, thank you for watching. Have a good day.